There's a quiet strength in people who've suffered deeply. You see it in their eyes. Not loud, not broken, but deep, like they've walked through fire and now sit by it, warming others. They don't speak of their pain often, not because they've forgotten, but because they've woven it into something sacred. A kind of wisdom, a kind of compassion. A kind of stillness that only life's storms can teach. If you're one of those people, the ones who felt the weight of grief, betrayal, loss, or invisible burdens, this message is for you. Because what if your suffering wasn't a detour but a doorway? What if the parts of you that cracked open weren't your undoing, but your initiation into something more real? Carl Jung believed that suffering is the path to inner transformation, that our wounds are where the light gets in, not as a cliché, but as an undeniable truth of the psyche. In this video, we'll explore 5 traits of people who've suffered deeply, not as victims, but as those who've walked through their own underworld and emerged with a lantern. If your pain has shaped you, perhaps it has also prepared you for something beautiful, something whole. Jung once said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And he meant it, not as a warning, but as a map. In Jungian psychology, suffering is not a punishment, but a messenger, a force that disrupts the ego and pulls us down into the depths of the unconscious. Because only in those depths can we encounter what we've been avoiding, our true self. When we suffer, we are often face to face with our shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves that we suppress to survive. Pain strips away the masks. It exposes the unhealed. It pushes what was once unconscious into the light of awareness. Jung saw this not as a failure of the psyche, but as the beginning of healing, because only when we see it can we integrate it. And this integration is what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole by embracing both the light and the dark. Suffering acts as the alchemical fire in this transformation. It breaks down who we thought we were, so the self, the deeper, wiser center of the psyche, can emerge. Those who've suffered deeply often become keepers of this wisdom. They are not defined by their pain, but refined by it. Their suffering calls them inward, toward authenticity. And in that journey, certain traits begin to form, markers of soul work. So what are these traits? What changes in a person who has been cracked open and lived to integrate it? Let's explore the first. The first trait is this. They hold space for others without needing to fix them. They don't rush in with advice. They don't interrupt your pain with platitudes. Instead, they sit beside you, quietly, attentively, without flinching. There's no urgency in their presence, no need to tidy up your sadness. It feels like safety, not because they try to fix you, but because you can finally be without pretending. This is the gift of someone who has suffered deeply. They've sat in their own storms, wept on floors no one saw, begged the sky for answers that didn't come. And in those raw, shapeless nights, they learned how to hold themselves. Now they hold you, not as a savior, but as a witness. Carl Jung believed that the most dangerous thing we can do is deny our darkness. For what we refuse to face within ourselves, we are bound to project onto others. But those who have walked through their own underworld know this. They've met the monster, and instead of slaying it, they listened. They learned that real healing doesn't come from force. It comes from presence, from being seen in your pain without being rushed out of it. These are the people who don't say, "You'll get over it." They say, "I see you. I've been there. And I'm not afraid of this part of you." That kind of empathy can't be faked. It's not performance, it's transmission. When someone has truly suffered, their nervous system learns how to stay steady in the face of intensity. Their soul stretches wider, making room for the pain of others without collapsing. They don't diagnose, they don't correct, they simply stay. And somehow, in their staying, something begins to soften in you. This is the first trait of a person shaped by suffering. They hold space, not with pity, but with reverence. Their compassion isn't born from comfort, it's carved from experience. And because of that, being in their presence feels like being held by something ancient, something that trusts your timing, your mess, your healing, something that knows that just being here, just being real, is already enough. Another mark of someone who's suffered deeply is this. They've sat in silence long enough to hear their own bones. The emptiness doesn't scare them anymore. It became a friend, uncomfortable, yes, but honest. There was a time when they too ran from the silence, filling every blank space with noise, people, work, anything to avoid what waited beneath. But suffering stripped all that away. What was left was the void, the hollow places of identity they hadn't known existed until life peeled them open. Carl Jung spoke of this space, not as a flaw in the soul, but as a necessary passage. He called it the chaotic unknown, the stage between who we were and who we are becoming. For those who've suffered deeply, the void isn't theory, it's terrain they've walked barefoot. The dark night of the soul is not poetic to them. It was survival, and yet, in surviving it, they found something sacred. They found the truth that silence doesn't mean abandonment, that stillness doesn't mean failure. In fact, within the vast, terrifying quiet of the psyche, they met something real, themselves. So now, they don't fill space just to avoid loneliness. They don't scroll endlessly to escape thought. They don't rush into noise just because it's familiar. They know that silence is ceremony. They trust that emptiness is not a void to be feared, but a womb where something deeper is forming. And while others may feel disoriented in stillness, they feel anchored. While others see emptiness as a lack, they've come to see it as potential, a sacred clearing. So when life grows quiet or uncertain, they don't panic, they breathe, they listen, they wait. Because they've already faced the abyss, and it did not destroy them, it remade them. The second trait isn't easily visible, but it's there. In the way they move slowly in chaos, the way they don't flinch in discomfort, the way they trust what most people fear. They've been to the bottom of their own psyche and found it held. That's why stillness no longer feels like absence, it feels like home. The third trait that often defines those who have suffered deeply is their ability to hold two truths at once. It might look like someone saying, "I love you, and I'm hurt," or "I'm healing, yet still angry," or "I'm hopeful while grieving." They live in the space of both and, embracing complexity instead of seeking false simplicity. This kind of emotional maturity comes from wrestling with life's contradictions, learning that reality rarely offers neat either-or answers. Carl Jung understood that the psyche is composed of opposites, light and shadow, conscious and unconscious, instinct and spirit, and true integration requires holding these tensions together rather than choosing one side. When someone has endured deep suffering, it often fractures their previous certainties, leaving room for a more nuanced understanding of themselves and the world. Instead of collapsing under this complexity, they grow to appreciate the richness it brings. This is emotional alchemy, the transformation of pain into wisdom and resilience. In daily life, this trait shows up as an openness to perspectives that might seem contradictory. They don't rush to invalidate others because they disagree, nor do they rush to label emotions as simply good or bad. Their experience teaches them that emotions are layered, and that human experience can hold discomfort and love, sorrow and joy simultaneously. This ability to hold paradox without losing balance is a sign of profound psychological and spiritual growth. It reflects a deep engagement with the self that honors both the shadow and the light. They've moved beyond black and white thinking into a realm where contradictions coexist, and this complexity becomes a source of strength rather than confusion. This is the third trait of those who have suffered deeply, the capacity to live within the full spectrum of human experience with grace and groundedness. Fourth trait that deeply defines those who have suffered is their profound intimacy with mortality. This isn't always about facing physical death directly, though sometimes it is, but more often it is a symbolic encounter, experiencing the death of a version of themselves, the collapse of a cherished dream, or the ending of a familiar chapter in their lives. Having brushed hands with these profound endings, they develop a heightened awareness of life's fragile, fleeting nature. Carl Jung emphasized the importance of embracing mortality and limitation as fundamental to the individuation process, the journey towards psychological wholeness. Those who have suffered deeply carry the knowledge of having grieved illusions of permanence, those stories that once gave comfort, but no longer hold true. This acceptance of life's impermanence is not a resignation, but a transformative release. It shifts their focus away from trivialities and superficial distractions, directing their energy towards savoring moments, nurturing what truly matters, and living with intention. They no longer chase illusions of immortality, youth, or control. Instead, they invest in meaning, presence, and authentic connection. You might see this in simple yet profound ways. Lighting a candle with reverence, saying, "I love you," without hesitation, or pausing to feel the breeze against their skin. These small acts carry deep significance, symbols of someone who has recognized the preciousness of time. Their suffering has allowed them to embrace endings, not with fear but with reverence, gratitude, and humility. This trait marks a person who lives consciously, aware that each breath is both a gift and a reminder of life's fragility. They move through the world differently, less attached to outcomes, more anchored in the here and now, more willing to cherish each experience fully. This is the fourth trait. Their suffering has brought them face to face with mortality, and from this encounter, they emerge living with a profound respect and heartfelt appreciation for the preciousness of existence. The traits we've explored are not just abstract ideas, they live within you and the people you've loved or will love. Take a moment now. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Gently ask yourself, which of these qualities do I recognize in myself? Which have my own struggles awakened? What lessons did my pain teach me that peace never could? Remember, suffering is not a mark of weakness or failure. Rather, it is a powerful sign that your soul was strong enough to walk through fire and come out forged anew. If you've ever felt quieter, slower, or deeper than those around you, it's not a sign of falling behind. It is the sacred imprint of transformation, a unique initiation that has shaped you in ways nothing else could. Let this reflection be a tribute to your journey and a reminder that in suffering, something profoundly sacred was born. There is a profound wisdom inside you, one not found in books or lectures, but carved by heartbreak, sculpted by silence, and earned through nights spent in darkness. Carl Jung reminded us that only the wounded physician heals. If you carry scars, know this. They are not marks of shame, but of sacred strength. You are not broken, you are initiated. Your pain has opened doors to depths others may never reach. This is Echoes of Psyche, where the soul remembers what the mind forgets. Here, your journey is honored, your wounds hold meaning, and your inner light is never forgotten.